Hello and welcome to World Cup 2026 in review. The first World Cup to be hosted across 3 countries for 1 continent, if you don't include the islands. Also the first World Cup to feature 48 teams. It's been a World Cup full of firsts. For instance, each group only had 3 teams, which means instant drama. Only 2 games to get out of the group. 1 win could see you through, but 1 loss could ruin your whole campaign. So how did the World Cup go? Could world champions England from 2022 bring it home like they did before? Did the new format bring new fairy tales? And what of hosts Canada, Mexico and the US of A? Let's start by going through the groups.
Hosts USA have a population of 318 million compared to the Gambia's 1.88 million, but that difference in population could not save the USA from an opening day upset courtesy of hero of the Gambia, Musa Barrow. This result, coupled with Croatia's strong performance across the group, left the hosts down and out after just 2 games. Spain showed their strength, scoring 7 in 2 games with no reply from their opponents, leaving South Korea to win the battle for second place. Luckily for Honduras, they didn't have to go far to go home. Goals, goals, goals! That's what Group C was all about. No team failed to score in a game here. The Ivory Coast took 6 points to win the group. Despite scoring 4 goals across their 2 games, there was no miracle for Syria, as they were on the wrong side of a 7-goal thriller with Sweden. The first group without a team winning on points, as Belgium and Uruguay could only be separated by goal difference. Luckily for those nations, China didn't put up much of a fight. Maybe the global powerhouses' golden generation will come one day. Turkey dominated here, scoring 9 with only 1 in reply from their opponents. Unfortunately for Nigeria, Ecuador were just too strong, and Nigeria are sent packing. Senegal became the second African nation to top their group in this tournament, despite having a worse goal difference than second place Denmark. Uzbekistan can count themselves unlucky to come away with 0 points. Austria squeak into second with a narrow win in their first game, but the real story of this group was the summer solstice massacre, where 23 Ghanaian footballers lost their careers. A message from last tournament's finalists that they're out for blood. No surprises here, Portugal dominated, going through as group winners, while the Socceroos, in short Curaçao's first World Cup, ended after just 2 games. The tightest group in terms of second place, as Colombia squeaked through ahead of Morocco on goals scored, while the Dutch go through as group winners. Despite being held by Iran in their first game, reigning world champions England topped their group, beating New Zealand 5-0. 2 draws was enough to see Iran progress to the knockouts. World Cup regulars Germany and Cameroon proved too much for the new boys Haiti, whilst in the battle for first, Germany were too much for Cameroon. For the second time in 2 World Cups, Jamaica reached the knockouts, seeing off tough opposition in Venezuela for second place, while Italy sealed top spot with 2 comfortable 2-0 wins. Unlike their neighbours Iran, Iraq were unfortunate against Chile and decimated by France. That big win meant France topped the group on goal difference. This group finds the second of our 3 hosts, World Cup stalwarts Mexico, who didn't let the nerves get to them, beating both Cape Verde and Ukraine to top the group. The second place showdown between the 2 nations, a 5-3 thriller that went the way of Ukraine. Lionel Messi, 39 years old by the end of this tournament, had already announced that he would retire from playing immediately after this World Cup, but he was determined to go out with a bang. A hat-trick against Qatar followed a draw with Norway, where world superstar Haaland was up front for a talent-stacked Norway side. Not sure what metric they won the group on though. The final group and the last of our 3 hosts, Canada topped their group with a win and a draw, showing their neighbours USA how football is done. 2 draws was enough for Bosnia-Herzegovina, meaning Ghana crash out with 1 point.
Wow! What a group stage! Now we get to the knockout rounds, with 32 teams still hoping this will be their year. 16 games where teams hope to progress. It's full of drama and excitement. Let's get into the second round.
These 2 teams couldn't be separated in normal time, 1 goal apiece. However, goalkeeper Cho Hyun-woo became a national hero in the penalty shootout, facing 3 penalties and saving every single one. The Gambian dream came to an end as they were brushed aside 2-0 by a strong Spanish performance. Despite going 1-0 up, another African nation exits the competition as Uruguay score 3 against the Ivory Coast. It's heartbreak for Jeremy Boga, who has 2 goals ruled out for offside within 5 minutes. A single Lukaku goal, good enough for Belgium to narrowly beat Sweden. Dolberg scores Denmark's only shot on target to beat Turkey, who are said to be a bit miffed. Despite dominating the game, Ecuador had to wait until extra time to score their 2 goals that would eventually sink a stubborn Senegal side 3-1. Brazil continued their strong start with a composed 2-0 win to send the Socceroos home. Portugal finished the game with 35 shots, while Austria finished the game with just 3 shots. Despite this, the game finished 1-1, and then Portugal were punished for not taking their chances as Austria won 4-2 on penalties. Upset. Iran's World Cup fairy tale came to an abrupt end at the hands of the Dutch, whose midfield dominated this game, which finished 4-0. Reigning world champions England showed their muscle here, showing up in an old-fashioned 4-4-2 and absolutely crushing Colombia 5-0, with Mason Greenwood involved in 4 of those goals. Jamaica can count themselves unlucky, 1-1 after 10 minutes, a penalty miss just before half-time which would have levelled the game again, and the 90th minute goal to seal it. This game had a bit of everything. 3-1 to Germany. Italy produced a professional performance to knock out the last African nation in the tournament, 2-0. Cameroon could only muster 3 shots and 5 yellow cards. Another double from superstar Kylian Mbappe helped France on their way to a good 3-1 win over Ukraine, who went 1-0 up in this match. Hosts Mexico were determined to represent in this tournament, and inspired by a second-half hat-trick from Liverpool forward Fernando Flores, They realised that dream, beating Chile 4-1. Another goal from Haaland helped Norway edge their way past a good Bosnian team. Hosts Canada had no reply as Lionel Messi assisted twice to send Argentina forward in a 2-0 win.
So there we have it, the knockouts are underway. Favourites and fairy tales all around. 16 teams left standing. That 16 needs to become 8. So let's get into the third round.
Both teams stubbornly refused to give up any goals in normal time, and this time keeper Cho Hyun-woo could only save 1 of 4 penalties faced, while Belgian counterpart Courtois saved 3, sending Belgium through. A tight game, but one that sees the Spanish team's run come to an end and Uruguay progress 1-0. The Danish dream came to an end here thanks to a defensively solid Austria, who progressed with 2 goals from Yusuf Demir. A spicy South American derby had everything you'd expect, a red card for Ecuador and 3 goals from a superb Brazil side, which sees them march on. No goals in normal time, a goal for each side in extra time, and a disallowed goal for the Dutch in the 114th minute led this game to penalties, which were clinical. Only one of them, 10, did not go in. That of Pellegrini of Italy, the Dutch through. England's old enemy ensured there would definitely be a new world champion, as Germany's young striker scored a double to sink England. Argentina's risk to not start Lionel Messi did not pay off, as they went down to 10 men and gave up 2 goals to star-studded France. The last remaining hosts, Mexico, were beaten by a more clinical Norway side. Another goal for Haaland means the Norwegian dream is still alive.
"16 become 8. More upsets. More goals." Now we move on to the quarter-finals, with only European and South American teams left standing. But also, with reigning champions England out, we're going to see a new world champion. And there's still some fairy tales that need to have a conclusion. Let's go to the quarter-finals.
Despite the game being very even overall, Brazil's left-hand side proved the difference between the two sides, with 2 goals, one from the left-back, one from the left midfield. Another week, another solid Austrian performance. Less than half the chances of Uruguay, but it didn't matter when Yusuf Demir stuck away a 90th minute winner. A red card for the Dutch and a single goal for Norwegians keeps the dream alive. Star-studded France seemed to be getting stronger and stronger throughout the tournament. Here against the Germans, they blitzed the game, scoring 5 in the first half. Germany's 86th minute goal merely a consolation for the fans.
And then there were 4: Brazil, France, Austria and Norway. 2 footballing superpowers and 2 underdogs daring to dream. How far can they go? Who will be world champion? Well, first, they have to get through the semi-finals. So let's get into it.
An absolute classic of a World Cup semi-final, another goal for Mbappe, another hat-trick, a disallowed goal for Brazil in the 34th minute. Just a fantastic game of football that could arguably have been the final. This time, Austria had more shots than their opponents, and as such, a single Erling Haaland goal was enough for the Norwegian dream to go all the way to the final.
In case anyone cares, Brazil beat Austria in the third place playoff. But enough of those peasants. We're here for the underdog story of a generation, Norway versus the nation that can't stop producing world-class talent in France. It's a final like no other. It's been a tournament like no other. So let's see what happened in the World Cup final with some slightly extended highlights.
The game began with some chances for both sides. But eventually the inevitable happened, and an Mbappe goal was inbound. It looked like the game would be going as expected. Norwegian captain Kristoffer Ayer had other ideas, leaping like a salmon. You get the reference. To keep the game alive. Sadly, Norway could not keep their focus for the whole occasion. And that man Mbappe leapt on a mistake. It went from bad to worse for Norway. Another mistake, and Mbappe there again, to complete his hat-trick. Norway pushed all the way to the end, but they could do nothing against the strength of the French defence. And the French win the World Cup.
Well, there you have it. France dismantled the Norwegian dream. I want to thank the host nations, especially Canada, whose combination of marijuana and poutine made me miss the entire tournament, hence why we're doing this review. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you for World Cup 2030, wherever that's hosted. I don't know yet. Bye bye! How long do I have to keep waiting? I've never been to North America. This is ridiculous. I'm reading a script.